Greetings, Mustangs. Thanks for your decision to come to Morningside this year. I'm certainly excited about all of you new players, and then all you returners. We're just getting done bringing you all to the airport right now. At the same time, I'm already ready for you guys to be back. We have a really exciting season ahead of us. I know you guys don't believe me every year when I say that we're probably going to be better this year than we were last year, but it looks that way again this year. This is a tremendous group coming in, and a lot of you guys who were here gained valuable experience, and we should be ready. With that in mind, though, the teams are a little bit bigger this year, and there's going to be a lot of competition in preseason. So this summer workout video that helps you figure out what the workouts look like and give you some tips on how to do the different exercises is for you to be ready when you get here in the fall. You've no doubt read the email, obviously, since you linked to this video. It's got 3 attachments. It's got the actual workout itself that explains each section in detail. It's got a calendar that you can print off and hang on your wall of your door inside your room and monitor your progress as we go. And then it's got a burpees schedule. The workout's worked out for you, and we'll get into more detail with that when we get to the burpees section. But we're going to break this video down into 4 different sections as we talk about each part of the workout. And then again, even after that, if you have questions, we can deal with it through BJ or one of your teammates or whatever. So without further ado, we'll go into the next section. Okay, gang, this is the first event of the 4 that we're going to be explaining in this video. You can see Jill and Toby are on the sideline of the soccer field. Toby's on a different line than Jill. The 2 distances are different, as we told you in the workout paper that you have. We run them on the same clock. The men just run a little bit further. So the way this works is on a 30-second clock, when we get ready to go, so guys get ready, and we don't run them at the same time, obviously. The women practice separately from the men, but we would say go. They would run as hard as they can across to the other end. And you can see that Jill's is shorter than Toby's. Jill runs to the other line. Jill's is 53 yards across. We're obviously simulating that. And Toby's is 61 yards across. They'll stay on the other side for the remainder of the clock till it gets to 30. And as soon as it gets to 30, we say go. And they go again to the other end. Jill again going 53 yards. Toby going 61 yards. They rest the remainder of that time. They'll run again at the next top of the next minute. Ready, set, go. They sprint across, and so forth and so on for the 12 minutes or 10 minutes or 14 minutes or whatever we're running at practice. If this were, as we tell you, the testing ladder, Toby, push up with Jill there. You run in pairs. You race across, and let's just say that Jill beats Toby. Okay, ready, set, go. Jill just beat Toby. She will move up the field to the next pairing, go into the yellow circle, yep, and Toby will move closer to us and down to the next grouping, and they would run against separate partners. This time, let's say Jill loses and Toby wins. On the next one, they'll be together again. So move down 1, Jill. Move up 1, Toby. They would be the partners again with each other. They would run the next one together. Ready, set, go. And Jill wins again, and we'll move up, and Toby will move down. It's a racing ladder. What you can do here also is we're on a 30-second clock. To improve your conditioning over the summer is to reduce your clock. You could run it on a 20-second clock in which you'd run 3 times in a minute rather than 2. Okay, so we'll explain that a little bit further in the next section. Okay, so this is what we just did with Toby and Jill. You can see this is the normal soccer field over here. Jill's run is a little bit shorter than Toby's. But they're both on the same clock. You can see the 53 yards, the 61 yards, translated to 48.5 meters and 55 3/4 meters for the men. We're on a 30-second clock. At zeros, you sprint at 7.5 seconds. You rest at the far end for 22.5 seconds. Again, at the bottom, same thing, and you're looking to kind of get a 1 to 3 work to rest ratio. That's 7.5 seconds of running, 22.5 of resting. That's 3 to 1. Okay, so that's what we're trying to do. If you want to get start at the beginning of the summer with 5 sprints, let's say, you can add sprints per minute or per 30 seconds or whatever until you get to where you want to be. We also explained the racing ladder where you're running in pairs. You're spaced 5 yards apart. You move up the field or down the field with a new partner each time. You want to finish as high as possible, not as low as possible by the time we're done. Again, as I mentioned at the very end, you can further improve your recovery time by eventually running on a 20-second clock. Shorten your rest time, run the same sprints, it's just that now you're resting 12.5 seconds rather than 22.5 seconds, okay? We'll occasionally run on this clock in the preseason. It's up to you to kind of move in that direction if you want, if you can. If you have a chance to stop this video to look at this a little bit closer, you can. Okay, so we'll move on to the next section. All right, so this is the second event on your workout sheet. This is 220s. This is new for all of you. Even the returners haven't done this one before. And we're trying to find a sprint workout that's more easily ranked and rated than sprint ladder is, the one we just did. So what we have here is a shortened field. You can see the chairs at the far end. They represent a cone 110 yards or 100.5 meters away. We're not going to run the whole thing now, just to give you the idea. What we'll do is we'll run this in groups of 4. So I'll have Toby and Jill lined up as if they're on the same team. And the only difference now between the men and the women is not the distance, but it's the clock. All right. The men will run this on a 3-minute clock, and the women will run it on a 4-minute clock. That means the recovery time after you come back is 3 minutes or 4 minutes, or the remainder of the 4 minutes each time you run. So what we would do is have, 15, 20 boys lined up across that yellow line, and when we say go, ready, set, go, Toby would run as fast as he can to the other end, run around the cone, and run back as fast as he can. He's not running as fast as he can now, but giving us the idea. And when he gets back, we would record his time. Let's just say it's 30 seconds, for example. He would then go to the back of his line of 4 and wait for the other 3 to go. The next person doesn't go right away. The next person goes up to the line, and at the top of the next minute, ready, set, Jill, go. Jill will run again to the other end as fast as she can, go around the cone, not touching the line with her foot, but running around the cone, and come all the way back. And when she gets back, we record her time again, and then we wait, and they will do that 8 or 7 more times for a total of 8. So 2 other people have gone in the meantime. Toby's up again, and Toby says, ready, set, go. Toby will run around it 1 more time as fast as he can, and he's gonna lose time each time. This is a longer sprint, but what we're trying to do is gauge both his overall time and record his time. Jill will move up, doesn't start right away, just when the next one goes, we say ready, go. She'll go out there and go as fast as she can, okay? So when she gets back, we'll record her time. She's trying to do she has enough recovery time where each time it's her very fastest, and we record her time again. She may have dropped a couple of seconds, but we'll find that out over their 8 sprints. There's 8 total sprints. We will record both of their total times and their a rate of fatigue over time as well. So we'll explain that here coming up. Okay, so again, this is what we just did. This is the American football field within our soccer field. It's a little bit longer, but it's a lot narrower. So what we do is we run from the start of the goal line on the football field all the way around past the goal line, past the end line, and run back to the start. That's 220 yards or 201 meters exactly, okay? So that's the run you're going to do, and you're going to do it 8 times. That 8 times together equals 1 mile, and so we're trying to also get a 1 mile time with these splits as well. You're going to run down and back as fast as you can. You'll have 3 guys or 3 girls in line behind you, and we'll run that on a repeat, okay? We will record your times each time, and we'll have some data that we're looking for, including your cumulative time and your rate of fatigue, which we'll explain during pre-season. It is best to run your hardest each sprint as you train this summer. Try not to sandbag it. We have a lot of sandbaggers here who work the system and quote unquote cheat a little bit and try to save themselves for the end, but that's just a dead giveaway in this one. And so we like this event just because it's going to show us a little bit more. You can do these running events in any way that you want. I personally think that it's best to train in the sprint ladder because it's a convenient distance. You can find it around your house real easy. Running 50s or 60s are a whole lot easier than finding 110 yards or 101 meters somewhere to run your thing on. But it's up to you. You can kind of see what you're strong and weak at and work it into your schedule the best you can. We'll explain the overall schedule at a later section, but that is the 220s. This next event is the Cooper, and we'll run that a couple of times during preseason and throughout the year as well. The Cooper is measured on our Olympic-sized track. You guys must have one somewhere in your hometown that you can get to maybe once or twice in the summer. But short of doing that, there's ways that you can train this in your neighborhood. So I've got Toby and Jill in their neighborhood. They're both from the same town, but they live in different parts of town. And they're gonna go out their front door and they're just gonna go warm up. Go ahead, guys. So they're just running wherever they normally wanna run in their neighborhood, along the river or along the park or whatever. And they can run shorter, or they can run longer, or they can walk it, or they can do whatever it takes to warm them up. Jill is running a little bit shorter and she's gonna get here. So they both wanna start from the same spot every day. So let's say that's the post office where this cone is. It's the post office in their neighborhood. They live, you know, some neighborhood where there's a post office somewhat distance from their house. They've gotten there. From here, they can either just keep going and start their clock then. They might have run, Jill might have run, let's say 8 minutes, and Toby might have run 12 minutes, let's just say. They'll do that on both ends and add it to the 12. So Toby will have run 36 minutes and Jill will have run 28 minutes overall. But the part that I'm interested in and the part that you want to train is the part in the middle, and that's this part. When they get to that landmark, they want to run the same route every day, or every day they run it. So you can see they're standing at the post office, that orange cone right there. What they're going to do is start their timer now, ready, set, go, run that route that I said. So they're going to run this route every single time they run it. It's really important that you don't change your route. They're going to run as hard as they can for 6 minutes, and they're going to run this route as far as they can. And when they get to the end of the 6 minutes, which will be coming up in a couple seconds here, they're going to mark where they are and turn around. Yep, turn around and go back the same way you came. So they're going to go back the same way and run as hard as they can, the exact same route, and get back here, try to get back here in the same 6 minutes for a total of 12. Jill turned around at the lacrosse goal there, and Toby turned around at the chairs a little further. So he's gonna mark that. And they come back here. From here, they might be dead tired and stretch or walk, or they wanna jog easy all the way home. But what Jill is doing in her head, or somewhere on her sheet, she's gonna write down the lacrosse net, which might have been the blue house in her neighborhood, or Toby's chairs might have been the post office box or something like that. Okay, and they turn around and get back here. I'll explain that in this next section, but that is what we're training for with the Cooper. Okay, so what we just did was a live version of the Cooper. What I'm going to show you here is kind of a thing you can stop and take a picture of off of your computer here and just read through it if you need to. This is a picture of the track up top. It's obviously not shaped like that exactly, but the way we run it here is you start in the middle of one side. You need to run 6.5 laps if you're a woman, 7.5 laps if you're a man, and on top of that you want to get as far as you can. Actually 6.5 is the minimum for women, 7.5 for the men. Okay, but the way you train that, since you can't always get to a track, is to, as I show here, in your neighborhood, you leave your front door, you run whatever route you want to run, and let's say it's 5 minutes or 8 minutes or 2 minutes or 12 minutes or whatever, you're always going to get to your one spot. For me in my neighborhood, it's this tree here. I'm going to run as hard as I can along this route that I've already mapped out, as far as I can. And on my first day that I run it, I run as far as point X, and I turn around and come back as fast as I can, all in one run, 12 minutes, okay? I'm trying to get back here in 12 minutes as well. From here, I can run this route or any route I want to get back to my house, and the total might be 30 minutes or 24 minutes or whatever. The next time I run this, which might be 3 days later or a week later or whatever, I'm going to come out, run whatever route I feel like it. It might be different, but I'm going to end up at my tree. At my tree, I start my clock, I run as hard as I can, and my goal is to get a little bit further. The next house, the next driveway, the next landmark of some kind, turn and come back in my 12 minutes back here. Okay, so your goal is just to do this further and further. Every once in a while, you'll want to get to a track to see how this translates into actual laps and distance. Okay, the last section that we're going to talk about here is the burpees. And we did these a little bit last year, but we're doing them differently this year. I want to make sure that you guys have a couple different options, especially those of you in countries that don't have gym opportunities where you can go lift weights and things like that. There's a version here that we can use to help you with that. But the biggest thing here is that we want you to have correct form, and then we want you to follow the schedule that's one of the attachments on getting your way to either 50 for the men or 35 for the women. So we'll start with Toby here, and what he's going to do is a slow burpee where he puts his butt down, does a push-up, reaches out, back in, up, all four on the floor, and then up and back down into the squat, okay? You see that? It's all one motion. Doesn't have to be pretty, but it doesn't have to be faster than this either. Okay, good, Toby. So in Jill, same thing. She'll do the same thing where it's more emphasis on sitting the butt down. The push-up, the up, getting the feet back wide and up and down again into that squat, okay? Just one more, Jill, good. And up and up, okay? Good. All right, so we're gonna talk a little bit about that in the next section, but that's the form basically where you wanna sit your butt down, jump out of it, have it be all one motion, and then we'll talk about what your next option is. Okay, so you'll see on your schedule that there are two different kinds of workouts. One is 4 different sets of lesser number of burpees, and then the other day, the next day is, or 2 days later, would be as many burpees as you can do in a row, or we're trying to get that number to grow each time. So what my suggestion is, if you're not able to go lift anywhere, or even if you want to do it this way and incorporate it on your lift days, is to do these in a weighted way, okay? Toby is going to show you, so he's going to have some weights waiting for him. He'll pick those up, and then what he's going to do is do the same motion, but change it a little bit. Same thing, put them down. He'll push up on those things, come back, use the weights, and then curl, push over his head, bring him down, uncurl him, and then the same motion again. Butt down, push up, stand up, then curl, push, and uncurl. Okay, good, Toby. All right. A different version of that, what Jill's going to show us, is if we're not quite strong enough to do that movement as we're working with our weights. So she is going to not do them off of the weights themselves. She's going to put her knees down for the push-up, still get back into her, and then curl, and then press, and then uncurl, and then start again. So she'll drop them, butt down. Yep, hands on the ground, knees down, push up, back to it, yep, and curl, and press, and down. Okay, so what we're showing you here is a way to incorporate weights into your program. You can make those weights as heavy or as light as you want. You can wear a weighted vest. You can do all kinds of different things to make this work. And if you're a lifter who can find a gym, then you can do these each time without being weighted, and you just add that to your normal workout. I'll explain that in the next section.
Yep.
Okay, so this is what we just did with the two players. You can see we're eventually aiming for women for 35 in a row, men 50 in a row. The form is huge, okay? So take a picture of this and keep it where it's slower. It's your butts down. You put 4 on the floor, 2 feet, 2 hands each time. Arm extension push-ups without the weighted ones, hands inside shoulders, and then your low squat position and your tuck, jump, and landing are one motion, okay? Not 3 different motions. Okay, let's go to the format. You can see here that we have a 3-day schedule for you. They can be any 3 days you want: Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, whatever. You can see there are 2 different kinds of workouts. One that has 4 sets. Women will do 4, then 3, then 2, then 2. Men will do 6, then 4, then 3, then 3. You can do them with 20 seconds of rest in between, 3 minutes in between, whatever it takes you to recover yourself. The next time you work out, you'll do 7 in a row women, 10 in a row men. You can do those unweighted if you want. Then the next time, you'll come back with your sets. You can weight those again if you want, and so forth and so on. The next Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it's the opposite, and so forth and so on, until by your last week, in your last set here, the women are doing 14, 12, 7, and 7. The men are doing 20, 18, 10, and 10. And on the last day, the women are doing 35 in a row, and the men 50 in a row. So you can do this in a bunch of different ways, okay? You can do the weighted reps on set days. You can add weight as you get stronger. You can do either weights or not weights on your straight ahead days, as many as you can do. If you're already a lifter, you can just incorporate these in without doing them weighted, or you can do it as part of your leg routine or your push routine. When we test, we'll test non-weighted but strict form, watching your butt and your hands and all that kind of stuff. You can go as fast as you want on this, or you can take all 10 weeks to get to 50 or 35, or you can go heavier if you like. If you're a lifter, as I said, please continue to do so and just supplement with the unweighted version. This movement, this burpee movement, is probably the best full body movement a soccer player can do. It's simple. We can do it COVID or non-COVID. We can do it gyms or no gyms. We can do it any way we want, but I don't want to take away from you if you're a lifter. If you're a lifter, please lift. If you're not a lifter, do this weighted. If you're a lifter, I still want you to do burpees because you're going to have to test with them. We'll change to an in-season lifting program after we get through the preseason. Okay? Okay, gang, that's it. 4 pieces to it. You can arrange and rearrange these any way you want. As I mentioned before in one of the earlier sections, if it were me, I'd probably run sprints, 50s, myself 2 times a week. I might do a Cooper and a 220 every other week in my other day of the 3 running days a week. I would do burpees every other day if that's something I want to do, or I would lift and I would incorporate the burpees. The closer I get to preseason, the last 4 weeks or so, I would be doing something every single day, not taking days off in between, because your body is going to go through some hammering over here. And if you're only doing every other day, like let's say running and burpees in the same day and taking the next day off throughout the whole summer, you will be unprepared for the pounding you're going to take when you're here playing and getting bumped and getting bruises and all that kind of stuff. So the more activity you can do right before you get here, the better it'll be for you. As I mentioned before, it's all explained in this first attachment that we have, that is the explanation of the workout. It's brief, but it's there. You then have an attachment that is your calendar, and the calendar is just for you to put on your door and to fill in as you go, just to keep track of what you're doing. I would like to collect these when you come here in the fall. And then the other one is your burpee schedule that just lays out for you exactly how many sets and reps you should be doing every day, and how you get from on your very first day doing 4 burpees as your biggie, and on the last day doing 35 as a woman, or 6 as a man, all the way to 50 in 10 weeks, okay? So these are the 3 attachments. As I mentioned before, this is for your own good. I don't care so much that you do this exactly. What I care about is that you're fit and that you are competitive with your teammates. I don't want you to be 2-3 weeks in and wish you'd have done more, or be in my office talking to us coaches about why you're not playing a bigger role. Be prepared. Your best self will show if you're fit. Your best self will not show if you're unfit. Really excited about the incoming classes. Really excited about the returners and the experience they gained in this second half of this season in the spring. We're going to have 2 very, very good teams. Have a great summer. Get in touch with us if you can. One last thing is we're going to get in touch with you here soon. Mid-June is when we're trying to do our first real big Zoom/FaceTime session with different groups where everybody can start to get to know each other, okay? So work hard. Good luck on your exams if you are still in school. We'll get this rolling as soon as possible. Thank you.